So, welcome to the Embodied by Design orientation and open house. The purpose of today is to really just give like a behind the scenes of what we have going on. Oh, here comes Susan. Let me let her in and then I'll start. Oh, hold on. Let me let the cat out of this room. She's scratching at the door. Hang on. There you go. Go on. Okay. Hi, Susan. I've missed you dearly. Okay. How are you? Okay.
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I have my snack too, my nuts.
Yeah, lunch.
Okay. Okay, so the purpose of today is to just give a behind the scenes of Embodied by Design. Obviously, Susan, you've been around here for a few years, so just kind of giving the lay of the land. There have been some changes. We're implementing new things. The entire flow of how like the format and the flow of how the program runs is really different from back when you did it originally. So I just want to kind of give a lay of the land, give a picture and just sort of the vibe of the program so that if we have prospective students who are considering joining, they can watch this, get an idea for everything that we have going on here, see if it's a right fit, and then new students who join us can get orientated around everything. So yeah, that is the purpose of today. Also, if I'm also going to break down the Embodied by Design method, because obviously this program is called Embodied by Design. It's really inspired by this method of not just learning human design, but how do we actually use it? How do we integrate it into our process with our clients, into our courses, different offerings, into our businesses. And there's a pretty clear method that has emerged over the years of how to do that. And so I'll cover that. But first, I just want to give just like I said, lay of the land. So first of all, when you join Embodied by Design, you immediately get access to the entire curriculum. So this is what the student portal currently looks like. You have over here our live session schedule for October and November. You can click on that and it will take you to our community. Okay. So once you're inside the community, these are all of the upcoming meetings that we have going on. Um, so you can just take a look at that. So we have our live story lectures, our live integration. These happen every week. So we have a live story lecture bi-weekly and then an integration session bi-weekly. So we're kind of following the flow of the curriculum. So like next week, we're starting with the centers and then we'll go into the types and then we'll go into authority. So we're following the flow of the curriculum. You can jump in at any time. So if you've already been a student and you're just like, okay, I really need a refresher on generators, pop in the day that we're covering generators, because my teachings have evolved as well. That's why you have access to the entire curriculum. Yes. So say for next week, we're going into the centers. You can go in here and you can watch the video on the centers. This audio is also available in our student only podcast. So for those of you who like to learn on the go and you just want to listen, maybe you want a refresher, then you can listen on the podcast, but you can watch the video. You can listen to all these audios for all the different centers. Um, there's plenty for you to do in here. So like as we bring on new students, like not everybody's going to want to come to all these live calls. Not everyone's going to want to necessarily take advantage of all of that live support. That's fine. You can literally join Embodied by Design and do your own thing the entire time. That's totally cool. However, what is newer or what was new starting this year is that I'm now teaching these live story lectures. So I'll go back to where I just was. Welcome, Karen. Um, so the live story lectures, this is not me going through slides typically. This is me actually just, talking about the concepts based on all of my lived experience since I, originally started the program and recorded these modules. The modules are more like teaching. Here are the concepts, this is this center, this is what this center is about. Then the live story lecture is me talking about like, here's what I've observed, in people who have an undefined head center. Here's what issues come up in session with people that have a defined heart center. Here's how to actually like tailor or customize your sessions depending on the center. So this is taking the concept and giving some real lived experience and stories about the concepts that we're talking about that week. So that's the live story lectures. Then on the opposite weeks, we come back and we do integration. So you have 2 full weeks with each concept if you're following along with us live. So next week, we'll cover all the 9 centers. The following week, we'll come back for an integration session. So in the integration session, what we're doing is the first thing that we'll do, or the first thing I'll do is ask, where are you at with this? Like, have you gone through everything? How are you feeling with the concept? Like, what's clear for you? What's not clicking? So I can get an idea of where everybody is at. And then we'll go into the workbook. So you get a really beautiful physical copy of the student workbook sent to you when you enroll. It's 200 pages. It's like everything that you need, quick reference guides, quizzes, like you get that like physically sent to you. But also within each module is that module's workbook. So that's what we cover in the integration calls. So the purpose of this is really just for me to make sure that, and you to make sure that you're actually getting the material. So we'll go through the workbook together, make sure you have all of these answers written down correctly. And then we'll go through the reflections together and we'll have a little chat. And like, this is really part of the integration process because EBD, as you know, Susan, EBD is not about memorizing, right? Like no one really gives a flying fuck if you can, regurgitate chart information because AI can do that, right? Um, so you can literally just go and ask ChatGPT about your chart and it can spit that out for you. So what our focus is in EBD is not just memorizing all of this information, but actually taking it down into your body and then out into your life and out into your business and your work with clients. So that's what these reflection questions are for. And then we also have embodiment experiments for every single week. So these are things that you can do throughout the day, throughout the week to actually bring these concepts to life for you in your own way. So that's what the integration calls are all about. And then let me see. This is in my way here. Okay. So yeah, that's kind of the flow, the schedule of the program really is, first week we have the live story lecture, second week we have the integration call, and then we keep going in that way. New for this period of time is our implementation lab. So I want to show you that. I don't know if you got my email about this, but so sorry, let me just go back here. Okay. So you'll see, you have all your modules here. Hooray, hooray. And then you have some bonus content as well as your call recordings. So within 48 hours, all of the calls are uploaded here under the call recordings. We also have the implementation lab. So this is new. The implementation lab is, I suspect those of you who have already gone through the program will love this the most because you already have all the foundational human design material set. Now it's like, okay, what are we going to do with this? So we have the Embodied Business Blueprint. If you haven't already downloaded this workbook, it's awesome. It takes your human design and the hero's journey, and it helps you craft your offers and your offer suite and in a way that works uniquely for you and your energy. So you have that. We have the Human Design Advantage. So this is a comprehensive guide to actually implementing human design into your work. So this is if you're doing one-on-one, if you're doing small groups, if you're doing retreats, if you're doing courses, if you're getting to the point where you're scaling, there is a section inside here for you, like with real life things that you can take action on as far as like, how do I actually use this to elevate my client experience and all that good stuff. Um, Coming in October is our create your own alignment protocol guide. So, if you're watching and you don't know what an alignment protocol is, it's a tool that I use with my clients to take their human design, take their unique goals, and create basically like a custom roadmap for them so that, so that we know what we're doing together. And so their transformation is mapped out ahead of time. So they know what they're doing. I know how I'm guiding them. Of course, there's room for, moving around, but this is a really, really helpful tool. It's like one of my clients' favorite things. So I'm going to teach you how to do this. That's coming later this month. This is actually coming in November, these two, but the alignment protocol, um, oh no, this is coming in November. So your human design chart generator. So I'm going to walk you through step by step how to make your own human design chart generator, how to embed that in your website or your client portal, and different ways to use it to get leads, to generate revenue, and to elevate your client experience. So that is coming in November. Also, we will have templates for the alignment protocols as well. So you can kind of just like take it, make it your own, and go. So, um, okay. So that's kind of the lay of the land as far as the student portal goes. So all of your modules are in here. All of your call recordings are here. The implementation lab is here. When you're ready, your certification requirements are right here. So your assessment is here, directions for everything that needs to be completed. Everything is here in the student portal. You also have the link to RSVP for our meetups, and then you have the link for the community. I already have it open here, so I'll just um, show you. This is something that is new this year as well that we are building. Hold on. Oh, crap. I don't know what I did here now. Oh, boy. Am I still screen sharing? Oh, God. What am I doing? Okay. I don't know. I just made everyone's face really big. Um, okay, so here's the community. So this is something that we've been really building out. But you'll find in here important updates, obviously all the meetups, that's really like the main purpose of the community right now, as well as our affiliate hub. So we've been using that for the affiliate hub as well. Um, but if you have questions, if you want to connect with other um, if you want to connect with other students, things like that, you can do that right in here. And what else did I want to show you? Okay, so also when you join EBD, you also get access to the Embodied Business Intensive. This is the business intensive. This is, historically speaking, students who have gone through EBD like to complete the business intensive when they're done with EBD, because you definitely require, like this course requires some foundational knowledge of human design. So, but this is really cool. This is how to set up the foundational elements of your business in alignment with your human design. We are doing that throughout, EBD, but you're learning a lot of information in EBD too. So once you complete EBD, this is all about the implementation in real time in your business. So you get access to this. You also get access to the Alignment Collective membership. So this has shifted. We no longer do live realignment rituals. However, this is really just sort of an embodiment tool. So you can go to, manifestors and you have meditations, you have subliminal tracks, you have affirmations, you have embodiment experiments. It's everything that you need in order to start just deconditioning and embodying your type, your centers, your authority more confidently. So, okay, that's kind of the lay of the land as far as what is happening when you join EBD. Again, you don't have to follow our live schedule. So this is not like a requirement like it was in the past. This is when you join, you get to choose whether you're going to follow along with us live and come to all the live calls, or if you're going to take your own route and like learn on your own time, or a combination of both. So that is all new. Questions about any of that? Oh, I wanted to show the podcast too. Let me pull that up. Okay. We also have a student only private podcast, which is cool. So you'll see, let me share again. So you'll go here to the podcast, you'll subscribe. You get access to this right when you join. So hopefully you've already done this, Susan. Um, all of the modules have been uploaded here. So like I said, if you don't necessarily want to watch videos, or maybe you just want to come in here and listen to the 6-3 profile audio, like you can do that on the go via the podcast. All the live story lectures, we just wrapped up our summer fall cohort. So all of those live story lectures are going to be uploaded as a new season. So you'll see like season 2, and then all those live story lectures are there. So, this is a little bit different, like I said, from those like pre-recorded modules. There's like a little bit more storytelling, a little bit more like real life examples. So that will be there too. So when you join EBD now, you get access to the student portal, you get access to the podcast, you get access to the community, plus the Embodied Business Intensive and the Alignment Collective membership. So it's really just kind of you get access to all of this support and then you choose what's aligned with you. So some people will take advantage of everything. Some people will focus more on one thing versus another thing. But my intention with that is understanding that we all learn differently. We have different needs. And so my mission with creating this sort of ecosystem of support is meeting you where you are, regardless of where that is. So if we have auditory learners, you have the podcast. If we have visual learners, you have the module videos. If you have, people who like to learn with lots of like live support, we have that for you too. So everything is there for you. Um, One other thing that we're also going to be implementing is live events. Obviously, I am having a baby at the end of February, so we'll probably only be able to do one before that. So I'm planning to do one before the end of the year. Um, and then moving forward after, probably summertime, I'm hoping to do more of these. And then our students will get discounted tickets on all live events. So these will likely be open to anyone, but our students will get, a nice discount on those. I would love to also eventually do student only events or alumni only events. But we have to grow the interest in that a little bit. Okay. So, okay, any questions at all about any of that stuff? No?
The just find the podcast. Where's the link for that? It's in the
Um, Good question. I'll add one into the student portal
okay.
because I don't know the answer to that. So what
Okay.
I'll do is I'll maybe add one like right here.
Okay.
So you can just go right from the student portal to the podcast. Let me write that down actually.
Perfect.
actually didn't know how to find it either until I went back into Kajabi. So, yeah, we'll make that a little bit easier to find. Okay, any other questions? Okay. So, I just want to talk a little bit about, yeah, we might wrap this up kind of early. So the embodied by design method of transformation. So what makes EBD so different, is that, like I said, we're not just memorizing stuff. We're not just looking at the concepts and saying like, here's how to read a chart. The thing that's different about EBD is that, first of all, the people who join EBD are already usually practitioners of some sort. So we've had, energy healers and Reiki masters. We've had, nutrition coaches. We've had business coaches. We've had, artists. We've had, I mean, lots of different specialties, but that core sort of common denominator for all of us is that we want to elevate our work by incorporating this system that provides that next level customization, right? And for most of us, it's because we discovered human design and felt like this huge, just validation. We felt very seen, and we felt like we finally had permission to go outside of the box, to not follow the rules, to not follow someone else's framework, but instead create our own. And that's something that I'm really passionate about. That's like the core ethos of this program. And so, we have all of these practitioners from all these different industries with all these different specialties coming together to learn human design, to be able to give their clients that same gift that human design has given them. And it's less about looking at the chart and saying, you're a this, you're a generator, it means this, you're this, it means this. It's more about, okay, well, how do we actually take this and like make it practical? How do we actually help people go from being like, hey, you're a projector and you don't have consistent, reliable physical energy to work. It's like, oh, okay, that feels really good to hear because it makes a lot of things make sense in my life, but like, what do I do now? Right. So that's where we really like are different, is that we pick up there and we keep going. Right. So just knowing the chart is really just this first step. That's the awareness. Understanding the chart, understanding the different elements of the chart, and being able to communicate that clearly and confidently to your client, to your students, to your audience. That's the first step. And that usually, like, what that does is it creates a foundation of safety. And if you don't have that with, when you're working intimately with someone, or even if you're taking someone's course, if you don't feel seen and validated in your own experience, there's going to be some level of resistance. You're not going to be able to fully relax and be who you are and like empower yourself to take action in your unique way. So that sets the foundation for that transformation. Then we audit. So now we're taking a look at like, okay, now we know, this is how you operate. So let's take a look at how you're operating right now. Like what's working for you, what's not working for you. That's phase two. Um, I also have a tool for this, the alignment audit, that's really helpful. And I'll be talking more about that once the program like kicks off and we get into things. But these are ways, and we'll talk a lot about this next week, actually, when we cover the centers. These are ways that we can really like practical, observable ways that we can say, oh, okay, well, here's a pattern that's emerging from your undefined heart center. How's that working out for you? That's the audit phase. That's where we take that awareness and we really like put it to practice and like see what's working, see what's not. Then we go into observation. Okay, let's observe how I'm currently operating and like let's observe all of these patterns with that passenger consciousness. And in human design, passenger consciousness just refers to like you are getting out of like the driver's seat. You're realizing like your body is the driver and you are the observer. You can sit in the passenger seat and just observe what's going on. That observation process is really important. And it's not just about awareness, it's about catching all of these patterns and seeing, how are you actually working with this awareness that you now have. Then we disrupt the patterns. So I have different tools for this that I bake right into Embodied by Design. That's what our tapping videos are for. That's what our meditations are for. That's what our journal prompts and our embodiment experiments are for. That's the disruption phase. So we're saying, okay, your undefined heart center puts pressure on you to prove yourself constantly. How's that working out for you? Not great. Okay. How's that showing up? Right? So it's like awareness of the undefined heart center, auditing how it's working out, observing the patterns that emerge from that place. Then we're disrupting and we're saying, okay, how do I actually start to, in real time, shift these patterns? How do I actually start to rewire my subconscious for something different that works more in alignment with, the lessons and lifestyle available to me with an undefined heart center? Then we get to reprogram where it's just practice and repetition. And that's really what that accountability and support that our community offers is that we're coming together, especially, those students who do choose to come live. It's like that's where you're really getting the accountability and the support to keep practicing a different way so that you can start to rewire new patterns. And then it's on to the next one, right? And not to say that we're constantly trying to fix, we're really not. What we're actually doing is what we call in human design deconditioning. We're taking the onion of who we are and we're peeling back the layers of conditioning that have resulted in patterns that really aren't working for us, that create resistance within ourselves, within our lives. And that's like my number one question that I'm always asking clients and students and even friends is like, okay, like how is that working for you? Because maybe your undefined root center, the pressure to constantly be moving really quickly and rushing everywhere, maybe it is working for you right now in this season of life. Maybe that pattern is not a problem for you. That's fine. We're not going to focus on that, but we are going to focus on the areas where you are feeling resistance. We're going to take a look at where that might be in your chart, and it's going to provide a roadmap for us to go through this entire process of transformation that we now call Embodied by Design. So that is sort of the method, and that's what we have baked into like the entire program. So it's not like we're saying, okay, we're going to learn centers and then we're going to go through phase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As we learn it, we're doing all of this, right? And so as you're doing all of it, as you're practicing it in your own life, you're now embodying this so that when you go and work with clients and you talk about how they have an undefined heart, you now have a lived experience as well as secondhand experience from hearing from me and from the other students of what that looks like, what that feels like, and what the golden opportunity is in that pattern and how you can shift to access that, right? Hopefully that makes sense. So this is the method of transformation. This is just the foundation of Embodied by Design. And this is how we actually take the information and integrate it to create real lasting change and really just bring ourselves and bring our clients back home to themselves, right? It's about like everyone wants to talk about authenticity. This is us peeling back the layers to get to that core of authenticity that is within us, right? Okay, so I'm going to pause there. Any questions about the EBD method? We're making great time. Okay, I don't see anything. I can't even look in the chat. Oh, there's something in the chat. Okay, I don't know what you were saying yes to, Abby. Sorry. Okay, so what I would love to do right now is just get like a kickstart a little bit on the actual core content so that you can get a little feel for my sort of teaching style. So I have sort of like a preview of what the what you'll be studying over the next week if you are joining us and following our live schedule. So the first thing that we're going to do is lay the foundation. So before we get into the centers, we're going to look at the body graph. And so I'll give you a little preview of the body graph and break down the sort of elements of the body graph so that you have that foundational knowledge so that when we get into the centers, you're clear. Um, and then so over the next week, and I'll show you like the homework that is, obviously not mandatory or necessary. It really depends when you join EBD, how involved you want to be and how much of the support and tools available to you that you want to take advantage of. But if you are going all the way in, I will give you the steps of what you can do over the next week to really prepare so that when you come to the live story lecture about the centers, you already have a pretty solid foundation of what you're doing and what we're covering. So over the next week, ideally you will, cover these foundational elements of human design, like the body graph. Okay. This is like the meat and potatoes of human design. It's like this is the chart pretty much. And so understanding the different elements of the chart and the different terms will be really helpful. So you have your body graph, right? We have all these different shapes. The shapes are our centers, okay? These are hubs of energy that my mentor Kip, he calls them also like behavior clusters. So these are little energy centers and they manifest as behavior and they're kind of clustered around different themes of behavior. So kind of similar to like the chakras, but there are 9 human design centers versus 7 chakras, and they were inspired by the chakras. There's a human design origins video in the student portal under foundations, and that talks about where human design actually came from, what systems of study and wisdom were actually used as the foundation for human design, just to give you a little bit of a backstory. But the chakras did inspire the centers. So we have 9 centers. Now, and these are what we're going to be covering next Wednesday at noon in the live story lecture. But each center is either colored in or not colored in. The colored in centers are called defined. Defined centers are where your most consistent, reliable energy is. This is like what makes you you. It's what you bring to the table and how you influence others, both energetically and behaviorally through behavior. So, when we're talking about like, oh, I have oh, this is my chart actually. So I have a defined emotional solar plexus. So I am always somewhere on an emotional wave. It's my emotions are consistent and reliable. I'm always in some kind of mood, right? And also beyond that, my emotions condition the emotions of everyone in the room, right? So anyone who's around me is going to feel influenced by my emotions. That's what that means. Now, conversely, if a center is white, that means it's undefined. So there's no real consistent, reliable source of energy there. So I have an undefined sacral center. So I have inconsistent, unreliable physical energy to create and to build and to do, right? This was like extremely validating and liberating for me when I learned about this. I was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. But our undefined centers are where we actually, this is where we're kind of more open to the influence in our environment, meaning when I'm around someone who has a defined sacral center, I'm absorbing and amplifying their energy to do, to create, to build. And so I feel pressure, right? So someone comes around me with a defined sacral center and they're just, like my children, or my fiance, and they're just going, 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 going. Not only, do I feel energetically a pressure to be going, going, going to like amplified, but I also, through their behavior, feel this sort of like behavioral pressure too. So like, another example is, back in the day when I used to work in like restaurants and bars, I really did run off of that borrowed physical energy, and I would work, a 15, 16-hour day going non-stop. But then I would literally be like just a pile of garbage afterwards, right? So it's not to say that you can't ever have any energy in the areas where you're undefined, but you are absorbing and amplifying that energy from those around you. And that can absolutely result in pressure and conditioning. So this is where we're kind of operating out of what we would call the not self. So there's your defined and undefined centers. Again, we're going to go way deeper into those next Wednesday. This is also like your definition. So where you have defined centers, where you have, these are called channels. So these lines that are connecting all of the centers, there are 36 different channels in the chart. When they are colored in, these are defined channels. This is your definition. So your defined centers, your defined channels, this is your definition, right? And this is kind of what defines you. And like I said, what you bring to the table, how you influence others. A lot of times, this is like what we take for granted in ourselves because it's like, this is my experience. It's also sometimes what we will project onto others until we have the awareness not to do that, right? And that's another gift of human design is being able to differentiate my definition from your definition, what I bring to the table versus what you bring to the table, my own lived experience versus your lived experience based on what you have going on in your chart. And then all the numbers that you see in all of these centers, these are called gates. There are 64 of them. They are based on the 64 hexagrams of the Chinese I Ching, which is an ancient oracle text. You can learn more about that in the origins video in the foundations unit in our student portal. But the gates, when we have gates that are like opposite gates that are defined. Okay, so we have a gate here, 43, then it's harmonic gate or the opposite gate, 23. When both of these are defined, that's what creates this defined channel. This is that consistent, reliable energy. This is also what defines both of these centers. So when we have these harmonic gates that are defined, it lights up the channel and it lights up both centers. Okay. The gates are also found over here on the side. Okay. Let me just, oh yeah, I go deeper into it here. Um, but everything in black is associated more with your personality, with your identity, how you see yourself. And then everything in red is more in your body, unconscious, something that you might not be super aware of in yourself, but is actually very present, and other people might experience it and see it more in you. So when you look on here and you're like, oh, why are some of the channels red? Why are some of them black? Why are some of them striped? It's because, we have gate 16 here. That's over here on the personality side. Whereas gate 36 is over here on the design side. Gate 44 is both, right? So that's why it's stripy. It's red and black. Okay. Um, Gates and channels. I already explained all this. Yes, I explained all that for you. Um, and yes, I explained your definition as well. Here are the different types of definition. This is something that, you'll look at your chart, it'll say simple split definition, or it'll say triple split or quadruple split. What that basically means is that, okay, well, we have someone over here who has, these centers that connect and these centers that connect and these centers that connect. Um, This is not split definition. This is a mistake. This is single definition. I don't know why it says split. Okay, so we have all these centers that are connecting and flowing together, right? We have a channel here, a channel here, a channel here, a channel here, and a channel here. So all of these centers are sort of flowing together. That's what we call single definition. Just ignore this here. That's what we call single definition. They are continuously connected. Okay. And then when we have a split definition, this is where there are two areas of definition. And this is most common. This would be like if we had these three centers connected and then these three centers connected, but they're not all connected together. This is what I like to call islands. So we have like this island over here and this island over here, and they're not necessarily always going to be on the same page. That's why split definition people tend to take a little bit longer to process things, come to a decision, um, and kind of like seek out whatever energy is going to create a bridge for that split, which we're going to talk way more about as we get into conditioning. Um, and so when we have triple split definition, it means there are three different islands, and quadruple split, which is not common at all, is when we have four different islands. So it would be these connected and these connected and these connected and these connected, for instance, but they're not all flowing together. That would be quadruple definition. This is something that, a lot of people ask about. It's not something that we go very deep into because it's just not super necessary. However, now you know. So when you look at a chart and it says single definition, split definition, now you understand what that is. So there you go. Um, there are also hanging gates in the chart, which we'll get into much deeper when we cover the gates later on in the program. But when you see a gate that's kind of hanging out here versus a channel that's defined, this is creating extra pressure on this opposite gate, right? This is where we're sort of like energetic. This is why we're attracted to certain people. It's because they have this harmonic gate and we want that energy. We want to feel that flow. And this is also where we can experience even more like just pressure and conditioning because we're looking for that energy. We're looking for that thing that will help us to sort of bridge the gap, right? So this is also where, you have these gates defined. They're just not super consistent and reliable. But this is also where when someone else comes and kind of completes this for you, not only do you feel this connection, but you all of a sudden different things light up. So for this one, it's like when they meet someone with gate 61, it's like, oh, okay, all of a sudden they feel like they can actually come up with answers to the questions that their busy mind is constantly like looking over and trying to come to. So these are just cool energetics that we get into much, much deeper later in the program when we cover the gates and we cover relationships and how we connect. But when I say hanging gate, this is what I'm talking about. We talk a lot about conditioning in human design. I've mentioned it a few times already, but typically what we're talking about is a couple of different factors, right? So we're looking at environmental conditioning and we're looking at planetary transit conditioning. Environmental conditioning is what I was talking about before when I used the example of the centers, where when you have an undefined center and someone with a defined center comes along, all of a sudden there's this pressure, you feel this pressure depending on which center it is to act a certain way or operate in a certain way or whatever. And if this is consistent in your environment, this is what creates patterns. So thinking about, when we're children and we grow up in a home with hopefully some consistency around who's in the home, whether that be, primary caregivers, parents, siblings, things like that. It's like whatever behaviors and energy that they are influencing with us or influencing us with, these end up turning into our patterns, our conditioning that later on, now that we start learning about these and we start to uncover like, oh, wow, that's actually maybe not how I am really designed to operate. Rather, it's how I felt pressure to operate. And that turned into like a huge part of my personality. Like to give you an example, with my undefined root center, just constantly rushing, going. I discovered that like maybe that actually wasn't my personality. Maybe that wasn't how I'm designed to operate. I'm designed to go kind of with my own flow and on my own timeline. But these patterns emerged from this environmental conditioning and being able to break that down through this lens and start to decondition and through this method find a different way is what helped me to change those patterns and give me a little bit more freedom, right? Also, the transits are always conditioning us too. So if you're into like astrology, for instance, a lot of astrologers might talk about how, the full moon in Aries that we just had is influencing us. And, depending on which sign is or which house Aries is in, is how it's going to influence you. We have something similar in human design. So the planetary transits are going to sort of influence us differently depending on what's going on in our own personal charts. So that's a really fun way to just understand, oh, wow, I'm feeling like so much pressure right now to start this project. I don't know, maybe gate 25 is in Mars right now, right? So it's like understanding how the planetary transits are really influencing us can give us a little bit of a preview as far as like how to work with that energy. Um, which is, I don't know, just I find it really cool and love to nerd out about it. Okay, so that is sort of like your just introduction to the body graph. This is the meat and potatoes here. And obviously, all of these things are just what we're going to be covering over time. We're going to get into the centers, we're going to get into the channels, we're going to get into the gates, we're going to get into all of these things. And these terms will feel less daunting and more just like you'll understand it because we're going to put it into practice. But it's a really good place to start so that when we do get into the centers, you kind of have an idea of like what the heck I'm talking about, and especially when I'm talking about defined versus undefined. And we'll get into next week, what those patterns look like, what each of these centers represents, and what it looks like when it's undefined versus defined, what the opportunities are for those undefined centers, what that influence and that conditioning is like, how to work with it, all of that good stuff. So, as far as homework goes, and I use homework in quotes because, again, it's really up to you how deeply you want to dive into this and how much support you want to take advantage of. But I would say you could go and watch, you might not even need the body graph. Video, but you could go and watch it or listen to it on the podcast, as well as the origin. So if you want to know, where human design actually came from, some people care, some people don't, but the video is there for you. I think it's like 25 minutes long and it just goes into, how was this system built? So you could kind of catch up on the foundations there. And then you could watch or listen to the centers training. I think it's a little over an hour. There's also an audio for each of the centers. You can catch this on video in the student portal, or you can catch it on the private student podcast. So if you'd rather listen on the go, just to give yourself a little bit of a leg up before we meet next Wednesday, you can do that. You could also get into the center's workbook. So you could go ahead and complete all of those questions, see where you're at with your knowledge, and that can really help you to understand like, okay, this is where I have questions. This doesn't feel clear. That's what the workbook is for. There's also a meditation, tapping practice, journal prompts, embodiment experiments all in there. So if you're ready to like really take this into your life, that's all there for you. Our next call is going to be Wednesday, October 15th at 12. It will definitely be 90 minutes. So a lot of the live story lectures are 90 minutes, especially with the centers because we're covering all 9 centers. And again, with the live story lecture, I'm going to be just talking from my experience mostly, and also talking about how these different centers can impact your business and also your work with clients, and how you can really tailor your work with clients to meet them where they are depending on the centers. So that is all of that. That's it. Okay. Oh, yeah, we made great time. So proud of us. So, any questions at all?
there's a list of when all the calls are.
Hmm.
All right.
Yes. So let me show you one more time.
Okay.
Okay. So if you're in the student portal,
Mhm.
there's the live session schedule right
Okay,
here.
good. Perfect.
And then when you click on it, it takes you right to the community where the meetups are, so you can RSVP.
Okay. Oh, good.
And then there's also this is actually it's on the sales page. I could make this accessible somewhere in the student portal too, but this kind of actually breaks down like what exactly we're going to be covering.
Okay.
Just note there are a couple of live story lectures that are a little bit different. So like when we cover the types, the last time we covered the types, it was like I was talking so freaking fast and I could not get through all of them in 90 minutes. So that will be a double session. Oh, these times are wrong, but they'll be right in the
In the RSVP.
yeah. So it'll be 12 to 1:30 and then 2 to 3:30. We may not use all of that time for the second session, but yeah, we'll split it up so that we'll cover like all of the types. And then another one, the profiles, that's a 2-hour session. And then the channels is a double session as well.
Okay. Good.
So
I want to try to do them all again. I can't do the centers because I already have something on the 15th, but I want to block my calendar for these.
okay, cool. Yeah. As we get into February, some of these live calls might be, or actually probably March. Some of the live calls, oh, I already put recorded. Yeah. So I'm I'm scheduled to have this baby around this time. So I'm kind of just I was planning on let's make this one recorded. But yeah, as we get closer to like end of February, March, just keep an eye out. Live calls might go to recorded instead.
Makes sense.
For that reason. So, but otherwise, yeah, for the next couple of months at least, like those are all scheduled and they're in there already.
Okay. Great.
Um, okay. Anything else? No? Okay, cool. All right. So yeah, if you have any questions, you can email me or you can go into the community, like into the Q&A section of EBD. Just post your question.
Okay.
Tag me if you want me personally to see it. Because I won't get a notification unless I'm tagged. I don't know why. I'm trying to figure that out. I would like to get a notification anytime someone posts, but like it's not happening. So if you have a question specifically for me, go ahead and tag me. Another place that you can communicate is like, say you're going through one of the modules and you have a question about like, the material or whatever, you can post a comment right in Kajabi and I will get emailed.
Okay.
So if that's easier, you can do that too. So email, community, or Kajabi are the best places to like ask questions. I'm not great with DMs, as you know. My DM, like I don't know. They get buried. I'm not good about keeping up with those. So do not ask me important questions on Instagram DMs. I may or may not respond. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming.
I'm
So
looking forward to
excited.
all the new stuff.
Huh?
Looking forward to all the new stuff.
Yeah, and as far as the implementation lab goes as well, like, obviously you've gone through the program already. So if now that you've been implementing things, you've been trying different things out, it's like, what I would really love support with is this. Like, send me that
Okay.
because, I would love to do more like implementation style workshops that help you with certain things, like whatever it is. I don't even know.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of making things up as I go, as I'm getting requests from the current students. But if you have something,
Yeah. If
just
anything pops up, I will let you know.
send it to me. Yeah. And then I will update everyone as well as far as like the live event soon. I'm just waiting to get a little bit more feedback before I make decisions. But it looks like it's going to be a 1-day event.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So yeah, I will let you know on all of those things. But otherwise, any other questions, just hit me up and I'll see you soon.